Live from the Talking Joe studios,
it's Talking Joe with Chief and Chris. Hey, it's me, the Chief. I'm joined by my buddy, it's
Chris McLeod, aka Diagnostic 80 from the Full Force podcast, and now, of course, Talking Joe.
It sure is. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm very good. I'm refreshed after a nice break with the family in Minneapolis. We went for a little 3 or 4 days, it was 4 days, I think, out to a beautiful lake house in Excelsior, just on the outskirts of Minneapolis.
Nice.
Kate's got some family out there, so we kind of went to see her grandmother's sister, her great aunt, and their family, and we just hung out in this beautiful lake house. And while we were there, Kate dressed up as Zorana from the G.I. the Action Force / G.I. Joe movie animated film.
Of course she would.
When she's in her bathing suit and that amazing orange wig, and she did a little cosplay photo shoot that I helped her out with, and it was amazing. So yeah, check those out.
Pictures available via Patreon, I imagine.
just via any source. In fact, go on our Facebook page, you'll see them there. But yeah,
okay.
And or Kate's as well. Kate's cosplay, Kate's customs cosplay. I can't remember what the full title is. It's so complicated. But anyway, just go on her page and check them out. But anyway, yeah, it's been really nice.
Cool. I'd like to go to Minneapolis because I'm a big Prince fan. So
oh yeah, we were at Lake Minnetonka as well. That was really cute.
Okay. Yep, cool. So that's it's on the checklist for places to visit for me. So one day you might see me out there.
It's bloody gorgeous, mate. Go for it.
Excellent.
How about yourself, buddy? What have you been up to?
So I have been painting miniatures. I've got a board game session coming up on Sunday with
Nice.
the crew down at my buddy Sam's house, down just outside Guildford.
I know it well.
Okay, yeah.
I don't.
And okay, so actually, there's 2 people from Guildford. One person's coming down from Bracknell. One person's coming down from Leicester area. And we're aiming to start at about 9 a.m. and then finish at about 6 p.m. It's board gaming session.
Blimey.
And I've been painting miniatures for this game called Scythe. I've talked about it on the pod before with Ben. This is a 1920s alternate history game about agriculture, farming and war. Basically, it's kind of post-revolution, and there's big mechs and
cool.
Yeah, war's going down big time. And I've been painting the leaders of each faction, and each leader comes with like a giant boar or a bear or a tiger. And I should be finished tomorrow, hopefully, because we're starting to start a campaign, which
Nice.
is 8. You have to play the game 8 times, but the campaign comes with sealed boxes that you only open as when instructed by the campaign manual. So you don't look ahead, and it's going to change. It's modules that will change the gameplay throughout the game. And this is kind of a big thing now. This is not quite other, they call them legacy games, so Pandemic Legacy and other kind of legacy games, where you actually end up tearing the cards up or putting stickers on the board, which is effectively like,
ruining
defacing
everything. Yeah,
defacing your comics or stuff like that, or cutting them up and sending them off to the bookbinder, that kind of thing. But that's the kind of the trendy thing. So this is kind of not that extreme, but a lot of the stuff is hidden. So really looking forward to that. And the other thing I'm doing is I'm going to do it live now on the air. I just had a package come through today from my local comic shop, which is Paradox Comics down in Poole in Dorset, which is not very local to me at all, but it was my local comic shop for a long time when I lived down there near my parents. So I'm just opening up to see what I've got, and let's let the listeners in on what Chief buys from the comic shop. So this
is an unboxing video.
This is an unboxing audio. Here we go. Right, so let's see. Open it up. See what goodies I've got here to read for the coming week. So I have got Deadly Class number 38, which is an image book by Rick Remender. I've got Ascender number 1 and number 2, which is a Jeff Lemire, Dustin Guyon book. I've got Coda numbers 11 and 12, which is the last 2 parts of a mini-series written by Cy Spurrier, Matthias Bergara. That's from Boom Studios. Detective Comics number 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004.
Nice.
I've got G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, numbers
Yay.
260, 261 and 262.
I still haven't read 262. We've got to do episode on it soon.
Yeah, oh, have you? Okay, yeah. I'm about 3 years behind.
Oh, nice.
I've got G.I. Joe Sierra Muerte, issue 3.
Cool.
I got the connecting covers.
Oh, nice.
So I need to read that. I've got Low number 21 by Rick Remender, Greg Tocchini. Oh, and Low number 22. It's an Image series, very good. The Wild Storm, numbers 22 and 23 by Warren Ellis. One more to go there, and some free comic book day stuff. So, yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
That was in my package. I can probably only read about 50% of those because I'm behind on all of them. But
Chief's package.
I won't be getting my package out every week, by the way. This is a special. But yeah, that's the good stuff that's been going on in Castle Chief. The bad stuff means we have to go
inside Chief's mind. Ah!
What's been grinding my gears this week? What's been getting my goat? What's been the monkey in the wrench? What's been hacking me off? And I am back on a train, and this has been some things that have annoyed me on multiple occasions. This time it's, you've got a carriage and there's the seats face each other with a table in the middle.
Yes.
Your 2x2 with a table. It's when someone sits, I don't mind where people sit, someone sits on the aisle seat and they've got a window seat clear next to them, and I get on and I ask them, can I sit in that seat please? And they huff and puff as if it's a massive palaver for them to get up, move their stuff, let me in, blah blah blah. If you didn't want the hassle, they should have taken the window seat.
Yeah. Or just not be because I think that's usually what the problem is. They're just very selfish, arrogant douchebags.
What's grinding my gears this week is basically on trains. It's not getting any better, is it?
On trains. I'm pretty sure I've seen that movie.
It's on a train.
In fact, am I watching it now? I'll turn that off so we can get this recorded instead. Oh, that's amazing.
There you go.
I'm fed up of these mother on this mother train. I'll cut all that out, but yeah.
Or bleep it,
yeah.
But yeah, that's what's annoying me this week. So it's happened twice this week already.
Son of a...
And interestingly, on the train I just got home today, it wasn't a table aisle scenario. It was behind me. It was a 2x2 scenario though, and this American couple had kind of saved 2 seats, and it was a really busy train. People were standing. It's the one from London Bridge taking everyone out of London.
Ugh.
And a lot of people said that I just heard them repeatedly say, sorry, these seats are taken, sorry, these seats are taken. And then someone piped up saying, there's no reservations on this train.
Nice.
And she started getting the hump, and then it turned out it was like a 90-year-old granny who'd just gone to the toilet on the train and then came back to claim her seat. And so it shamed the person who was shouting a little bit.
Just very awkward scenario, yeah. I mean, it's difficult for both parties in that situation because, that you're feeling awkward because everyone's staring at you and you're going, why are they doing this? There's no one there. You can't save seats and all this kind of stuff. But it's everyone just becomes a child, don't they, on the train? Like, it's really, really ridiculous. Like, especially if you don't have to go very far, who cares? Just stand up. Like, I've had to go from London to King's Lynn on numerous occasions, standing up the entire bloody way because it's been that busy. And that's like a 2-hour bloody train journey.
Yeah.
So
you suck it up, don't you?
You do. You just got to go, okay, well, fair enough. And maybe I'll sit down when a space kind of appears. But, it's just, I don't know. Everyone just becomes like a douchebag on a train.
Yeah. There you go. That's another movie. I'm tired of talking about douchebags and let's talk about some G.I. Joe comics.
All right.
So this week we have got Special Missions numbers 11 and 12 and Real American Hero numbers 79 and 80. Where do you want to start, my friend?
I think we should start with issue Diagnostic 79 and then we'll do Diagnostic 80.
It was made for it.
I always like to do the Special Missions last because especially this week as well, I actually really do love these Special Missions issues.
Yep. Okay. Let's cover the covers of this. Actually, it's 2 single issues on the G.I. Joe, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we can cover them as they come. So 79 is called Dreadnok's Rule. You got a cover of Buzzer on the front with a chainsaw about to hack up a dog, and it is
Junkyard. That's so...
Yes.
It's really, like, harsh. Look at his poor face.
Yeah. This is a cover by Ron Wagner and Bob McLeod.
It's a beauty. And also, I have to point out, it's something that happens in the issue, which, like...
Yeah.
Just so often, more often than not, you get a cover that has nothing to do with what's going on inside. Not just with G.I. Joe, I just mean in, like, comics in general.
You're right. It is from the book, which is always nice. This is script Larry Harmer, pencils Marshall Rogers, inks Randy Emblin, colours Bob Shireen, lettering Rick Parker, and yeah, that's it. So Marshall Rogers is back, and he got a little bit of a slamming from your good self last week. How do you think he fared this week?
I really like the art in this issue. I think it does have, again, high points and low points. There's some really awesome, like, I love his shots where it's kind of like a little bit further away and you're seeing a lot of stuff going on. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was much better than the last issue, and I think a lot of that is because there aren't many face close-ups that he has to do. And I honestly, like, I feel like the art is like even the faces in some cases are 1,000 times better than what he did in the previous issue. And it's, you know, there's a very cartoony vibe to this artwork, but again, like, I think it's really cool, and we get to see some beautiful vehicles in this one. Like, for example, in that first panel, one of the craziest G.I. Joe vehicle designs ever. And that's the Havoc.
Action, Havoc was heading to face, when suddenly things moved black. Out of the heavens came the Cobra Rattler. Action forces under attack. Will the Havoc with its twin cannons bring Cobra down to earth? Action Force, national hero. Havoc comes with driver, Rattler with pilot. Action Force.
Or the heavy articulated vehicle ordnance carrier.
This is the new G.I. Joe Havoc.
Nothing's too tough for Havoc. Nothing's too rough for Havoc.
Look, Cobra Ferret's after him! Yo, Joe!
Cobra's got to face much more than Havoc when Havoc's on the go. Cause out of Havoc comes a big surprise that gives more firepower to G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe!
Live the adventure of G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe Havoc comes with driver, other Joe and Cobra figures and equipment sold separately.
Joe!
I had no idea it was even an acronym, so I just thought it was Havoc. But there you go. That's why you're on the show.
That's
to teach
why I'm
me.
here. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, it's a cool vehicle, man. And the basic premise is here, it's kind of, you know, like you say, it's a semi-serious kind of thing. It's a throwdown between the Joes and the Dreadnoks. The Dreadnoks are basically just around, chucking junk out of their helicopter. So not their junk, chucking rubbish or garbage, for you American listeners, out of their helicopter. And the Joes kind of then cross paths, don't they? They end up at the shack, Zartan's shack, and it's just a big melee kind of thing, and chase scenes and fights and stuff. But good stuff.
Yeah, there's some cool little parts in this. I mean, obviously we've got, I think, pretty much all of the Dreadnoks to that point that have been released are kind of shown off in this particular issue. You've got, I think the roll call, you've got Buzzer, Ripper, Torch, the three usual suspects, but then you also have Monkey Wrench, Thrasher, Zanzibar. You have those three guys too. And also they try and squeeze in as many vehicles as possible as well in this one. And you've got Buzzer is riding the Ground Assault cycle throughout most of this. Torch is on the Cobra Ferret, which isn't necessarily a Dreadnok vehicle, but they were often used the Ferrets because they were like the closest thing they had to motorbikes, I suppose.
I'm going to interrupt you there. What's the Grand Assault motorbike? Is that Zartan's motorbike?
No, Ground Assault.
The Ground Assault.
Yeah, it was a 2-pack of vehicles. One was the Vamp, kind of recoloured, and the other was this motorcycle, basically. And it's like a very simple, I think it's like a Ram repaint. I think it's just like the kind of sort of Silver Mirage repaint. And then you've also got, there's also an Air Assault as well Dreadnoks had, which was like a Skyhawk repainted. And I can't remember what the other thing was in that. But yeah, basically you just get these kind of repaints of vehicles that they gave to the Dreadnoks. Torch, like I said, Torch on the Cobra Ferret. Ripper's on the Dreadnok cycle. Yep. That came out like the year after those other things, I think. So they're really trying to squeeze in as many, you know, vehicles as possible. And obviously you've got Monkey Wrench and Thrasher who are in the Thunder Machine, which is
Zanzibar's on some kind of skiff.
Yeah, his air skiff, yeah. I'm surprised the Swamp Fire didn't make it in there as well, because that's another vehicle that the Dreadnoks had specifically and around the same time. And, you know, that might have made more sense than the Ferret, but, you know, it's probably easier to draw.
I've actually just seen a bit of a typo here, possibly. I wonder, I might look ahead to see if this one gets no prized in a future letter. On page 4, where the Dreadnoks are they're at the Kobe consulate. They're coming out of the front of the helicopter on their vehicles, like you just mentioned, and some Techno Viper. They're running ramshod through all these guys, and some Techno Vipers ducking down, and he says every Viper and Tele Viper for himself. Yeah, and it's all Vipers and Techno Vipers around. Apologies, there is a Tele Viper in the background.
There is one Tele Viper, but you're right. The guy saying it is a Techno Viper, so it's very. I think there's a couple of mistakes that I picked out as well, not just in this issue, but in a couple of the other ones we look at later on. And as you can see, like I feel like in this particular instance, you can see the Tele Viper that runs under the dish, who then locates the bug that the G.I. Joes had in place. And then he kind of calls Zartan and says, hey, you got a bug. So you can see him in the background jumping under that radar installation. So this Techno Viper effectively is saying, I hope everyone else is okay, but Techno Viper, myself and the Techno Vipers.
You mentioning the bug that the Tele Viper found, that actually is a really cool bit where you cut back to the Joes and you got Dial Tone and Mainframe, I think, and Cover Girl, and they're in some dingy, dark kind of sewer looking place, because it is in fact a sewer. They are under the Cobra consulate across the road with some recording equipment they've set up on a table and chairs, getting their ankles wet.
I know, it's like it's right up to their blooming shins, isn't it? Their blooming
It's amazing.
water.
And they come up through like a hatch, and it turns out they're in some newsstand with some blind dude. Is he blind? No.
Yeah.
Oh, he is blind, yeah.
Yeah, the
Sarge,
Sarge.
they call him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's kind of running cover for him. Quality.
Yeah, he obviously knows dial tone, doesn't he, along the way?
Yes.
And what I have to also kind of point out as well as we go through this issue is that the Havoc, which basically the team comprises of Cross Country, the driver, Mutton Junkyard, and Law and Order. So they've got all the dogs, the dog team out there. Yeah. And they've kind of camouflaged the Havoc in the worst way ever. Like it's the least inconspicuous vehicle the Joes have.
Is this where someone's in a hammock?
And they've like covered it in twigs the size of like a pencil. It's ridiculous. and then obviously you've got Junkyard who keeps barking, and it's just like, have some noise discipline for goodness sake.
Yeah.
But this is quite a funny little team of surveillance, really. Like it's the oddest group of surveillance team I would ever choose. Like, for all of the specialties that the Joes have, you've got like low light, you've got all sorts of night force operators, you've got a sneak peek who, like that's his job, is advanced recon. So
were they? I guess they weren't the first choice, because they just at the beginning they're on the highway and there's a big traffic jam and they just kind of drive off. So they're I don't know if they were.
Well, they are.
Were they going to do surveillance?
They are. They do say that they're heading to the surveillance point. So they are the team that are picked for this particular job.
Ah, right, okay.
But I know what you mean, as in like, because obviously the Dreadnoks kind of fly by and throw all the junk out the way, but they are heading to that point specifically in the first place. So I think that that's where they're going. And then obviously we get what the crux of it is, that the Dreadnoks take or escort Xandar and Zorana to the inn where they're going to do a seminar on how to become filthy rich from real estate without having any capital or even moderate intelligence. And obviously it's one of these scams that Cobra are getting these guys to front. And what I love about this is that Zorana, for Zorana and Xandar, they're dressed in suits, but they haven't changed their like head appearance. So like Xandar's still got his bandana or his headband in, and it's why would you wear that?
And he's got also on, I don't know if you've got the recoloured versions or anything, but on my one, on that page, he's got like face.
Yeah, his face paint's on there, yeah.
Face paint's on as well, yeah.
So he hasn't done any, I mean, obviously they're doing it to show who it is, but I still think, in that situation, you just have them talk to each other and you can read that it's Xandar. But yeah. I just find that really funny. And then obviously from that point on, the Dreadnoks go off to, they're going to go to the shack and just hang out there and eat donuts and drink grape soda. And on the way there, they run into a military convoy and end up trashing it, ransacking it, and stealing missile launchers, or I forget what they are specifically.
It's a wire-guided missile, which he thinks is possibly donuts.
Oh, the Dragon, yeah. So that's what they're called. Like
an easy mistake to make.
Yeah, obviously. Grab one. Might be donuts inside. Or
I think there'd be a weight differential there between donuts and a wire-guided missile. But anyway, these are dreadnoks, I guess. Because then Thrasher's eating the chocolate donut box with the box.
he's such a
Yeah.
He's such a douchebag. Was he on the train? Was he stopping you from getting to the window seat?
No, I might have been scared of him if he was.
I also noticed that Zorana says lolling around, which I think is that Larry being way ahead of the lol game?
I can only surmise yes.
I think obviously it was a cute little saying back in the day, like an old-fashioned one, and then since lol came out, and
Yeah.
it just strikes me as funny to hear it in this context. But yeah, and we see the Dreadnoks get to their point, and we see some kind of odd things here, don't we? We see Thrasher and Buzzer playing a game of, like, was it punch for punch, I think
Punch for punch, yeah. That has come up before. It was a Joe who said it when they were digging out the Pit 3, when the new recruits came along, like Fast Draw and Falcon and Chuckles.
Yeah.
And they were wondering where all these tracks were, because the pit was under. Do you remember in Utah?
Yeah.
And they're all dirty in the tent, and they're all the new Joe's like, why are these guys all so dirty? Because they've been working underground. And it's Bazooka who says to someone, "Let's go punch for punch."
Nice. So it's not just a dumb Dreadnought game; it's also a dumb G.I. Joe game.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so Thrasher gets punched, drops to the ground because he suddenly sniffs something and turns into a dog.
Yeah.
And then he obviously sniffs out Mutt and Junkyard. Junkyard gives away the position, but he's not giving away their position. He's leading Buzzer, who's on his motorbike, away from the Joes that are kind of camouflaged very poorly.
Yes.
And obviously then that leads to Buzzer literally hitting Junkyard with his freaking chainsaw.
Yeah.
Which
Must
is
be dead.
so violent.
Must be dead.
Yeah,
But
and obviously
not dead. Not dead. And Junkyard would come back to haunt Buzzer later, and there's a good bit on page 26 where Buzzer's tried using this Dragon wire-guided missile, but Junkyard's disturbed him, put his aim off. And in the reflection of Buzzer's glasses, you see a leaping Junkyard, and then 2 panels down, you see a reflection in his glasses of Junkyard's mouth wide open with teeth about to crunch him up.
I thought that was law. I thought that was order when I
sorry.
I read this.
No, sorry, yes.
Because obviously
you're
Junkyard's
right.
down, isn't he?
Apologies, yes. It is, of course, it's law. And then Junkyard goes and gets rescued later by Mutt, yes.
Yeah, it's definitely order that attacks him, yeah, totally.
Yep, you're right, you are correct, obviously. And then the Havocs just drives over the Thunder Machine.
I know, it's cool. I love that little kind of thing where they're trying to get in position to shoot each other because all their guns face forward. Yeah. And he basically makes it so that he skids into place. He almost like Tokyo drifts his way into position and then just absolutely obliterates the Thunder Machine and then crunks it. I love that sound effect. Crunk.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And and then that's when you see that really, I mean, I think this is a way of hiding some of the gore and the blood by kind of silhouetting Junkyard. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like kind of rather than have it like, you know, with blood dripping out of him and everything, because that's quite harsh. But it's quite, I mean, it's a fun and a quick story for me. It's not like a crazy standout kind of Joe issue. I mean, it's one I remember, but it's not one that I wouldn't have it up there as one of the greats. Do you know what I mean?
No.
But it's a nice little kind of intermittent story between bigger story arcs, definitely.
What do you want to Yojo Cola it then?
I'm going to full force cola this one. Probably a definitely a positive 6.
Positive 6.
I don't want to, does that sound? It sounds low scoring. But it's nowhere near as good as some of the other ones in the series, and I've got to kind of be, you know, as I suppose as clear as possible. So I'd say 6 on that one.
Yep. I'm just looking back to what I put as my highest 6 on the list and my lowest 7, and I think I'm going to also give it a 6. And I'll play around with the position on the ranking chart later on after this. So
absolute ranker.
Moving on to issue 80, which is called Rolling Thunder. There's a clue as to what vehicle's in this.
Nobody beats G.I. Joe, Rolling Thunder.
It's the incredible G.I. Joe Rolling Thunder.
Corb is running scared, starting to wonder, can he survive the Rolling Thunder?
Yo, Joe!
Nobody beats G.I. Joe, Rolling Thunder. Machine gun cannon and a rocket tower. Rolling Thunder's an awesome power. Nobody beats G.I. Joe, a real American hero.
Rolling Thunder comes with driver, other vehicles and figures sold separately.
Cover here, it's kind of stuff that happens in the issue, but I don't mind the cover, but
it's pretty vague, actually, isn't it? It's more like
pretty vague.
I like the Rolling Thunder looks pretty cool. The X-19 looks pretty cool, but the background is so basic, isn't it? It's just like really scratched. Again, I don't want to I always seem to be dissing on everything that's in these, but like the cover, you're right. There's definitely. This is just an advert for the vehicles, in my opinion. There you go. Cover.
Yeah, it's by Ron Wagner and Bob McLeod, and interiors we've got script Larry Harmer. Pencils Ron Wagner's back, inks Tom Palmer, colours Bob Shireen, letters Jim Novak. And this is, in a nutshell, we've got a small piece of land just kind of off the shore of Cobra Island has risen up from the depths in the Gulf of Mexico, and it's effectively just a fight between a Joe squad and a Cobra squad as to who can lay claim to this piece of land first.
And it's very volatile, so neither of them want to actually jump on it just yet, do they? So it's
I'm going to go flat out and say I'm a big fan of this issue.
I am. I think it's brilliant. This could be a special mission for me.
Yes.
This could easily have been in the special mission kind of variety, based on the fact that it is a one-shot. It highlights a number of new Joe characters, and we get what do we get again? My favourite thing in these comics, which is the roll call for each individual character.
Yes.
And again, it's done in such a good way here, because obviously it's not one of those ones where it's just like, name. Larry does this really good thing where he kind of like talks through everybody, like doing a different thing so that they can all get their names out there. So obviously you've got Hardball, which we're going to speak about a little bit later on as well. There's a lot of cool anecdotes about him. So I'll hold off on going into too much detail while we talk about the comic, but I'll go into it. I might as well give it away. I'm talking about Hardball in the figure review, for God's sake.
Interesting. I'm excited.
But basically, he uses these baseball metaphors all the way through, which I'll pick out as we go through. But obviously, bases are loaded. We're up next, Charbroil. So he's kind of banging on Charbroil's shoulder. Hope you got a new flint in your flamethrower. And he's like, huh? The ignition system is electrical, Hardball. So straight away, he's done it so that, they've named each other. Muskrat does the I suppose the first person. He's like,
he's effectively Gambit here as well.
Yeah,
he's that southern kind of drawl. But go on.
Keep it down, will you? Old Muskrat got to get his beauty sleep.
Yep.
And then we all of a sudden we get to the end of the thing, and Hit and Run is laying, he's doing press ups, but he's like, heads up, Outback and Ripcord look like they want to bend our ears. So we've got everyone like named apart from Hit and Run, and then you go to the next panel and that's an affirmative Hit and Run. And it's just great. So
name check done in 2 panels,
and we've got some great characters here. Like, Hit and Run was like one of my favourite figures of all time. He's just incredible and a great character too. Outback's incredible. Again, I have to kind of say he's up there too as one of my favourite characters, and Hardball is amazing. So, and then we continue on.
First thing that's kind of striking me is, from an art perspective, I've been a fan of Ron Wagner's work in the book so far, but here it's popping even harder, and I think that's because Tom Palmer is kind of guest inking him here, or I say guest inking, I don't know if he returns, but Tom Palmer was kind of the go-to inker for Marvel Comics, I guess, through maybe the 70s and the 80s, and even into the early part of the 90s, and I think he's got a bit of a thicker inking line than we've seen so far.
There's loads of real thick lines going through this one. The
colours are popping, and we see Firefly. We haven't seen Firefly for a good while, I don't think, or he's not been doing anything of substance. Obviously, coming up soon, he's going to play a larger role, but at this time, he hasn't really done much. It's nice to see him back in the fray. Yeah,
totally. Again, another incredible character in the comics, and also a really good action figure as well, with his little kind of saboteur kit and everything like that. Like, he's really, really awesome.
Yep. Cool bit here where they drop the like you say, it's volatile. The mountain in the rock is shifting, so they just boot some BATs out just to. He knows they'll get smashed up on the fall, but at least they'll have enough juice left, if you will, to try and shoot the Joes down as they parachute out.
And that's where we get...
That's where your man Hardball...
Exactly, that's where he comes in and kind of thump, whomps them off the off the face of the earth, or at least the face of this particular bit of earth. And he does mention here Candlestick Park, which is a reference to the old San Francisco Giants Stadium.
Yep.
So yeah, it's he's doing this the whole way through. You know what I mean?
And also that doubled up as the 49ers Stadium as well, didn't it?
Back in the day.
Is it still there, Candlestick Park?
I'm not sure if it is. I've actually been to 49ers Stadium, but it was a number of years ago. And I saw the 49ers Bears. It was the season opener, and I'm being a Bears fan. Right. We got beat 49-0. It was the worst opening performance of all time, apparently. I can't
say much more because I'm a Dolphins fan. So
good. My good friend Adam Riches is a Miami Dolphins fan.
Okay,
so you're not alone.
One day they'll do something, but yeah, probably not in my lifetime.
Same.
Anyway,
I saw the Bears win a Super Bowl. I'm happy.
Yeah,
it was 1985, so that's done.
Okay, yeah. The first season I got into it, I think was I wasn't into it then. Whenever the Redskins beat the Broncos, 87, I think.
Wow, yeah, nice. Anyway. I take it you were a big Marino fan then.
Yeah,
cool.
Saw the Dolphins at Wembley the old Wembley.
Yeah,
in an exhibition game, but I don't know how long ago that was. It was early 90s.
Nice.
But anyway.
Yeah, anyway, okay, moving on.
Carnage on this in the Gulf of Mexico, because Mindbender is now some televiper as he's dialed up Cobra Commander or Fred 7 on a screen. It's just his face just glaring at him.
I love that. That kind of like, it's like I used to think it was some sort of weapon when I had it as a kid, but when it turned out to be just a TV screen, it's like, oh, okay, fair enough.
Amazing. And he's basically wanted reinforcements, and so he's sending a whole nother helicopter full of BATs out.
I do love that Cobra transport copter, which has actually been given a name recently.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so basically it's called the Aspid, and it was given its name, I think, for the first time in one of the recent issues, one of the recent IDW issues, I think maybe 260, 261. And yeah, all of a sudden, Destro just says to the Baroness, "Get aboard the Aspid," because he's been using this helicopter for his own personal helicopter, like for all of these issues. And we think it's the first time it's been used, and it's just really, really cool. So that's called the Aspid, and we're not sure if it was given that name at any point in the Marvel run. Did you remember or recognise that name?
No, I haven't seen that name check yet, and I don't remember it coming up. So that's pretty cool.
I won't give you any more spoilers into the new one.
Okay, I am going to get to it.
Something I must say that comes up next in this issue is the first mistake, and it's quite a major mistake. And that they keep calling Armadillo Rumbler, or they call him by Rumbler, and he's the driver or the operator of the Rolling Thunder. They call him Rumbler throughout the whole thing, and Rumbler was a character who was packed with the radio-controlled Crossfire vehicle. So it's quite weird that they got that wrong, but obviously it's consistently wrong throughout the entire issue. Then
that did twig with me. Ben, I didn't have it. Ben had the Rolling Thunder, and when they called him Rumbler, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure he's called Armadillo, but I was like, no, maybe I got it wrong. And you just said that Rumbler was the driver for what vehicle?
The radio-controlled Crossfire. So
I have no idea what that is. What is that?
It's like a futuristic ore striker, very kind of pointy front.
Okay.
Kind of like roll cage type scenario. It's not really a roll cage as such, but it's like, basically a 4-wheel kind of little dune buggy type vehicle. Okay.
Which obviously was out around this time for them to get the name wrong in the comic.
I believe so.
I don't remember ever seeing that vehicle in the comic. Maybe it does pop up somewhere. Yeah. Because like I kind of mentioned previously, I think by this time I had probably because this is like 88, this issue, but I probably didn't get hold of these issues till maybe 1990 or 91. Yeah. And by that time I'd stopped collecting the toys anyway. Yeah. So the comics were my main source of G.I. Joe knowledge. So a lot of the vehicles which is cool because you're bringing up vehicles that I've got no awareness of. And since I bought the 3D Joes, the big 5 or 6, whatever the history of the figures and looking through the vehicles and that's a lot of that stuff is new to me, which is really cool. So yeah, keep the knowledge coming.
Sure.
One thing I wanted to say was the Rolling Thunder looks like a real heavy. And how is the
Tomahawk? How is it?
The Tomahawk been able to carry that? I don't know, but
You'd think it would take a couple of Tomahawks.
Yeah.
On like one of those like dual kind of carry jobs, because you're right, the Rolling Thunder is massive, and if you were to even do the toy even if you have the toy version of the Tomahawk carry the Rolling Thunder, I guarantee that winch would probably snap, because it's like...
Is it the biggest vehicle? USS flag aside.
Well, you've got the Defiant as well, which is bigger. You've got...
What's the Defiant? Is that the space thing?
Space shuttle complex,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
And the space shuttle. Then you've got Mobile Command Center's bigger.
So land-based vehicle.
That is well, the Mobile Command Center is.
Oh, okay.
But in terms of one of those vehicles, I think Rolling Thunder probably is one of the biggest for that. Yeah, one of the biggest kind of like... I can't think of any bigger than that, in all honesty.
Cool.
Before you get to the big bases and stuff, obviously.
Yeah. Cool scene here coming up after that where... fine, we've got the Tomahawk winching in the Rolling Thunder, but then the Cobras don't want to be outdone because they got their helicopter transports bringing in the maggots and the bugs.
Yes. And again, the maggots are pretty cool, and the bugs are an amazing vehicle. I mean, there's so many great vehicles in this issue. It's just brilliant. And the Ghost Rider's X19... the Phantom, that is just gorgeous, that plane.
There's some really nice panels. Ron Wagner's gone all out here on making it look like a massive firefight, even though there's not that many, there's not that many troopers on there. There's, just a handful of tanks, but every panel where Firefly's talking to Mindbender, there's bats getting shredded in the background.
Yeah, that's a great shot, yeah.
The rocks are being pummeled with gunfire, explosions everywhere. They do a great job of making it look like a real pitched battle, even though it is... not too many vehicles, but great job all round.
It's brilliant, and I really like how Hit and Run's character comes out in this as being quite an intelligent kind of battlefield technician, and obviously you've got the maggots getting in position to they're obviously gonna fire artillery onto the top of or they're trying to fire artillery onto the top of the peak that these guys are all on, that the Joes are on, and because it's such a small landmass. They have to. They're close in, so they have to.
Trigonometry, something like that.
Trigonometrically impossible, he says, which is true because obviously they can't. He knows that the maximum like angle is like 80% or something. I think he says 80
degrees. Yeah,
say 80 degrees, and then obviously that means that. They're just going to fire directly over the peak they're on, and they're not going to come to any harm.
Yeah.
So they realise pretty early on, Cobra, they have to just shoot at the top of the peak and try and take out the cover, and then trying to expose the Joes.
Yeah, good. Like you say, it's kind of he's got a bit of nous, Hit and Run, and he's figured all this out that they're not really in any danger until, like you say, Cobra decided to just start taking pot shots at the top of the mountain rather than trying to land the artillery on their heads. And then, fortunately, here's where Rumbler come and save the day.
Rumbler-Dillo.
Yeah, Rumbler-Dillo. Rumbler-Dillo, more like.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And he's driving over stuff as well. We've seen Cross Country in the Havoc in the previous issue drive over the Thunder Machine. Here, Armadillo's taking the Rolling Thunder and driving over bugs.
Yeah, absolutely trashing them. It's funny how the Havoc was a big vehicle as well, but the Rolling Thunder definitely is much bigger than that. But they're really kind of trying to show off these vehicles in the best way possible. They do the same with the Mean Dog further down the road as well, don't they? Which is a similar vehicle, kind of land-based kind of attack, cannon. And you're right. The action in this is so good. It's so dynamic. It's fun to read. Like, things are happening constantly, and they're having to like change tactics. It's just a superb issue.
I found another hardball baseball reference.
Go for it. Yep.
Hey, I'm batting 1,000.
Yeah, which for the layman's that don't know anything about baseball means he's hitting everything that's being thrown at him effectively.
So he's not missed effectively. Yeah.
Yeah. He's doing well, or he thinks he's doing well.
Yeah.
But he is actually. He's caning everything in sight with his womp 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 thump 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 grenade launcher, which that's what I'm going to call it from now on.
I like it.
And yeah, he's again, like it's kind of like kitschy gimmicky kind of thing they do with some of the Joes. Like some of them are really far over with their gimmicks, and Hardball is definitely one of those characters that they play up the baseball angle massively. But again, I love it. I think it's really, really fun, and it's fun in like the firefight for them to be kind of talking to each other and saying these funny little things. So this is a quick, real fast-paced kind of issue as well that I really love too.
And with quite a few of these Larry Hama one-offs, it ends as quickly as it started. You know, the end comes in literally the last 2 pages where the island sinks and goes back to the depths whence it came, and the Tomahawk comes back and manages to get hooked up and saved, and then Mindbender reveals he cannot swim and he will take the blame if Firefly keeps him afloat. The end.
Brilliant. And it's just I really loved this issue. Like, it felt like a special missions issue. You have a beginning, middle and end. You have new characters, new vehicles, and they're all doing really awesome things. Like, they're all showing off their capabilities. Even the bad guy figures and vehicles in this sense kind of show off some cool things as well. Like, you've got the maggots. Yes, they fire over the peak, but they do readjust and take out all their cover. So it's, you know, they're getting some licks in as well. They just lose at the end of the day because the Rolling Thunder attacks them from behind.
Treachery! We're being attacked from behind!
I'm just trying to think. I think last week I gave everything 7s. And I'm trying to think, do I prefer this to anything we read last week? And I'm going to go with a low 8.
I'm going to go with an 8 as well, but a solid 8, because I think again it's got everything I want it to have in a G.I. Joe comic, and with this kind of that special missions feeling to it as well. So I'm all in on this one. Not all in, but 8. Yes. Solid 8.
All right, good stuff. Let's move on to special missions. So first up we have Special Missions issue 11, which is June 1988. It's called Sheep's Clothing. Cover by Ron Wagner and Bob McLeod, and it is Scarlett with a gun being poked in her face by a terrorist.
This kind of does, but also doesn't happen in the comic as well. I have to say, because obviously we'll come and see what happens in the comic. There's a couple of things here. And it's mainly due to what both characters are wearing on that cover, but other than that, it's pretty cool. It's also a very, very kind of violent cover.
Yeah.
Like if you saw that as a parent in a comic store or in like a like a grocery store or something, as they sold them back in the day in the States, do you honestly think they wouldn't think twice about getting that comic for their child? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like as definitely awesome as it is, it's very that's a hardcore cover right there. You know, it's not like, they've the expression on her face and his face. He's a bad man about to do a bad thing. She's scared. The lighting it is a very. He's grabbing her hair. It's violent. I mean, I'm wondering if the Punisher was quite a popular character around this stage. I think he probably was, and you were getting similar-ish kind of covers from that Punisher and Punisher War Journal books. So. Yeah, I mean, good cover, but maybe a bit over OTT for me. For a Joe comic as well, because the Joe comics, I love them, and I don't mind the violence in them at all. But like sometimes they tread that line, don't they, on the covers of some of the old ones, and you kind of think, I wonder how that would have been taken back in the day, because Anyway, I mean, so here we got Larry Hama's writing as always, Herb Trimpe's on art. Phil Felix is lettering and Bob Shireen is colouring. And the first thing I'm actually going to say is, we were mentioning the cover's very violent, but there's a lot of violence on the interior page as well, especially towards the women. Yeah. A lot of male on female violence going on. Obviously, they get their comeuppance in the end, and the girls turn the tables on them. But it feels like that's almost foreshadowing for the eventual comeuppance, if that makes any sense. Like it's like. Like them kind of treating them, like kicking them about, thinking they're the dominant person in the situation. Turns out they ain't shit, because when it comes to the crunch, and they're all of a sudden the women of G.I. Joe are like, we've got to there's the signal. It's like they just take them out like really, really quickly, and it's just like, okay, well, it just goes to show that, as you know, you can kick and punch and throw your around as much as you like, but in this situation they were thoroughly outdone. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that's the powerful message Larry was kind of trying to portray. But you're right, there's a lot of violence in this one. Even like when they're showing the security camera footage, and he says one of the guys took like fouled out cold, and he just shoots him like done, and he's like dead in front of the camera on one of the shots, and you're just like, whoa.
It's the issue itself. The story's a fairly basic premise. The Joes are in Germany. It's kind of like a kind of hostage situation. Are they revolutionaries again? I think they possibly are.
Yeah,
they've taken someone hostage, and actually no, they were actually there to effectively like a there wasn't a bank they were robbing, but it was a cash grab, and they've ended up with some hostages. Nice bit where you mentioned where Chuckles is reviewing the footage. A nice bit of way of exposition for showing us the setup for what's actually happened, and from then on it just becomes a race with the terrorists who've taken the revolutionaries who've taken hostages, which have been switched out unknown to them to be the G.I. Joe female members, Covergirl, Jinx and Lady Jaye. And then there's a bad guy spotter in one of the high up buildings who's following the path that the revolutionaries and the hostages are taking to the airfield to try and escape in a hijacked plane.
And when it goes out of sight for a very short period of time, that's when the Joes try and execute this plan of switching, obviously getting the females in the truck to take out the guards, and then for Chuckles and Lowlight to jump on and basically switch clothes so that they can continue the charade when it comes back into the view of the spotter, to go back to the airport and then take out the guys in the airplane as well. And it's a very by the numbers kind of thing. There's a couple of things that crop up that kind of put a spanner in the works, but it shows you how the G.I. Joe team kind of operate when those issues arise. Like they get blindfolded, which was something that they didn't think was going to happen. So they don't know when the signal's going to be coming because they don't know when they're going to be out of sight of the spotter. So the Chuckles and some of the other and Lowlight, I think it is, get on one of those streetcars and they force the streetcar guy to ring the bell, or Chuckles rings the bell in Morse code so that Scarlett can hear that she hears the letters JOE as like a in Morse code, and she's like, right, let's go, and they kind of take out the guards. Take out the terrorists, and then they switch places just before they come back out into view again, and the spotter has no idea anything's happened, which was really cool. So
Chuckles, did the figure come with a massive hand cannon like he seems to have in every G.I. Joe issue?
He had a pistol, I believe. I think that was the only weapon he had.
It's like every time he's depicted, it's like the size, the gun is like twice the size of a normal handgun. It's amazing.
Yeah, the original action figure, for one, was not in a black and pink top. I love the fact they did like a different kind of shirt for him. That's really, really quite fun. Yeah, in actual fact, it was obviously kind of like a blue with then like green leaves and then the pink kind of blooming flowers. He only comes with a harness and a pistol, and the pistol's like a decent size. I think they exaggerate it in the comics, but yeah, basically only comes with a pistol.
Yeah, I like Chuckles. I've got a lot of time for Chuckles.
Big time.
Yeah, so it's a solid-ish special missions. For me, I'm actually going to mark it down because I don't know. I think the level of male on female violence was just a bit too much for me.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I know. These are they're G.I. Joe operatives, and why should it be any different if it was G.I. Joe males getting the same treatment? But I don't know. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but that doesn't take away from the storytelling of that Trimpe and Harmer have done here. And the book looks great. It flows really well, and it's very filmic. It's this is the line that separates the special mission from the regular series. Is there's no real comedy here. There's nothing sort of kitschy, or there's no hardballs or charbroils here. It's just full in your face kind of serious action, and the story's told really well. So I think I'm probably going to end up giving this possibly a low 7 or a high 6. Do I prefer? What would I rather read again? Would I rather read this again, or that issue 79 with the Dreadnoks and the Havoc and stuff? I'd probably rather read this again. I think I'm going to give this a low 7.
And I'm also going to give it a 7. It's a solid issue. It's a good read all the way through. There's some elements in it that are quite interesting and like not the usual kind of thing that they always do. So obviously you've got a lot of like the CCTV exposition was really fun. I really like that how they kind of use that in the issue. I love the kind of redesign of Chuckles and that he's got like a black shirt on and stuff, and just little things like that is quite cute. But also like highlighting how good the female Joes are as well, and also just showing that the Joes in general are on point. Like they very rarely put a foot wrong.
Yep. Good stuff. Moving on to Special Missions number 12. It is called Air Show. We've got a cover here by Herb Trimpe, and it is the Vector, which is being flown not by Maverick, but by Firefly, and it's chasing down some biplane.
With Maverick in it.
I quite like this cut. I mean, that foreground of the biplane, really good. Proportions on the Vector behind, not sure they look quite right to me.
I think that's been because they probably use reference to the toy on the cover, right. And obviously it's smaller in general, just by the toy. It has some of the best art I've seen in a Joe comic. It is like some gorgeous artwork in this one.
It's Herb Trimpe doing the art and inks. Phil Felix is still on letters. Bob Shreen's still on colours. But like you say, it seems like he's... this is the same artist who just did the previous issue, and you could suggest that the previous issue was a bit by the numbers in terms of there's not too much flash or style, and that's nothing against Trimpe because he's a great artist. But here it's almost like he's upped his game even further.
Massively. It's just awesome, and that double page spread with the Joe planes on it. It's just fantastic. I just love it. And I've got this thing with the covers. There's a beautiful cover by Jamie Sullivan, recent one on one of the G.I. Joe Real American Hero issues. I can't remember which one it is now off the top of my head, but I'm sure people will tell us when when it goes up on Twitter. But it is this most gorgeous shot of Ace in the Sky Striker looking high up, looking down at looking at you in the viewer, with his two fingers, like as if he's saying, like I'm look down there, kind of thing. Right. And below him are these night ravens in formation, and then below that is the ground. It's like the earth kind of thing, and it is just the most beautiful cover I've ever seen. And he's also done a great cover of the X-30 Conquests attacking a Terradrome, and from behind, so you see them all from behind as like going into the Terradrome kind of thing. And it's just like this kind of thing is what I really love seeing the old school comics doing, the air battles, and the kind of, it's just beautiful stuff. The only thing I would say is that there's a weird bit in the storyline where instead of just killing Ace and Slipstream, Firefly uses a non-lethal gas, and I'm thinking, why? You're a bad guy. Kill them. It's weird that, but anyway. Yeah,
and the reason he's, gassing them is because they're at an air show. It's just a New York, I think it's Orange County possibly, and there's an annual air show, and the G.I. Joe team are there, like you mentioned. Double Page Splash, the X-30, the Vector, and the Sky Striker are doing some aerial displays, and Cobra must know they were there because they've sent in Firefly again, who was obviously we've seen him in issue 80 of the Real American Hero. Now he's back here again, and he's leading a small squad to try and steal some of the components from the Joe vehicles. Can't believe that was ever an actual plan that got drafted up. But anyway, that is the plan. And he's gassed them, like you say. Why not just shoot them in the back or use poison gas or something? But anyway, then he stole the parts and from the Sky Striker and the X-30, and then he's jumped into the Vector with a couple of clowns in the back and flown off. And the only way that they can hunt him down is by jumping in one of these crop dusting biplanes. I think it's a P-17 something.
Yeah, you don't have to go into the details.
No.
The premise is a little bit far-fetched, but at the same time, it's quite good how Larry works out how they could do it. And obviously in this case they're flying Napa the Earth. They don't know the controls very well in the Vector because it's a brand new plane, and it doesn't fly as well at slow speeds. And because they have to fly nap of the Earth, they don't know the controls. They have to fly it slow. So obviously that means that they've got that advantage of being in the vector is completely taken away when you don't know how to use it properly. So they can actually hot-foot it themselves as fast as they can in their biplane, and they can actually kind of keep them in their visual distance enough to kind of see where they're going and what their plans are.
Yeah. And then Harmer pops in a few nice little touches. The biplane's running out of gas, so they have to go down to some speedway and refuel. And this is obviously maybe someone that Larry knew or somewhere he's visited to this, because he's puts a little text box in here. Thanks to Accord Speedway in Accord, New York, now closed after 26 years of fun, and to Smitty Smithers, owner.
Yeah, he obviously knew him totally.
So,
yeah,
giving him a shout out, which is nice. But
really
they refuel down at the speedway, get back up in the air, and the Air Force is out with some planes. They can't find this vector. Where the hell is this going to be? And they remember Maverick, and because he's up in this biplane with the owner of the biplane, whose name escapes me at this moment in time. It's not that important. And they remember, as they were chasing the vector before they had to go and get some fuel, they saw a barge on
Freem, his name is.
There you go. They saw a barge on the river, and they suspect that is where the vector is kind of holed up, and so they go back to look. Now, a quick question. Once the vector was no longer having to fly nap of the Earth, once it got to open water, why didn't it surely it could outrace some other planes or not?
Did they run out of fuel? I think they ran out of fuel.
Oh, the vector ran out of fuel?
Yeah, I think it got to the point where it needed refueling, yeah.
Ah, okay.
Like it wouldn't have been able to keep going, basically. It needed to do this to escape, effectively.
Cool, that makes sense. But then Maverick and his man, Bert have now found the barge. They land on an aircraft carrier, the Intrepid, and then Harmer gives another little box out. The Intrepid is open to the public and boasts a fine collection of restored aircraft from 4 wars, a must-see in New York City at 44th Street and the Hudson River.
Nice. The Hudson River is also where Sully landed the passenger plane,
right,
comfortably without killing anybody,
yes.
Which is amazing.
Yes.
Had I been a passenger, I probably would have myself to death. But in any case,
yes,
it's interesting that we're talking about landing planes on the Hudson River, even if it is on a barge.
Yeah. And as we mentioned about wonder why Firefly gassed them and didn't kill them, here's the other bit which didn't really kind of fit in, because there's Firefly and a couple of Cobras on this barge they're out of the vector now. They're in the kind of the cabin of the barge, and they obviously are armed. And Maverick's only too happy to lead this civilian into
so
an
harsh.
assault. And they start getting shot at. I'm pretty sure Maverick would have left him behind.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah,
he doesn't give two. If Bert takes one, Bert takes one.
He doesn't have a weapon, for goodness sake, either. No. It's like, it's so dangerous. But he does bonk someone on the head.
Yeah, he bonks someone on the head. Some naval units or whoever appears, Firefly and Co. surrender.
I'm guessing it's NYPD, Coast Guard, and Navy.
That's it, yeah. Maverick gets the vector back, but then your man Bert needs to ride home. But Maverick, his orders say that he cannot carry civilians as passengers. That doesn't matter.
However,
let's just get Bert behind the wheel. He can fly us home.
That's really cute. I like that finish, and obviously washing the vector off of all the garbage. Yeah. I think that's really cool as well.
I like this issue.
I did as well, and it's one of those ones that, it doesn't focus on a lot of characters. Obviously, Maverick is the main character here. What's interesting to me is that you're effectively telling a story of a character and his vehicle, and the character is never in his vehicle. I mean, he is at the beginning, but he's like the actual like for the meat of the story, he's nowhere near it. Someone else is flying it, and he's doing something elsewhere. So it's a really interesting way of showing Maverick's skill level. Not just he's not just in this super futuristic plane that can pretty much fly itself. Like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So if you gave the last special missions a 7 and you gave Real American Hero an 8, where are you slipping this one in?
I would say, okay, so one, the art's beautiful. Some of the landscape stuff is gorgeous. I love the fact that it's never on the same plane. Like, you're always seeing, like, angles of the horizon, and you're seeing like the planes in different positions, and you're seeing, but it's so easy to follow. Like, it's not like an issue where there's so much going on and in different angles and all over the place that you're like struggling to see which way is up. It actually makes you feel like you're up there in a really, not like kind of a douchey way to say it, but like it does feel like when you're reading it that you're actually in a plane and you're flying around. And it's just, I just love that. And, you know, it's a character that isn't necessarily the coolest character G.I. Joe has ever created. I mean, he is called Maverick and he's a pilot, so you think he'd have more cool points than anyone. But being Battle Force 2000, it's a very, like, Marmite group of characters.
He's got a bit of stigma attached to him for that, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I personally love Battle Force 2000. I think it's such a cool little idea and concept, and I loved them. I think they're great. And I loved the vehicles, and I think the Battle Force Fortress, which you can kind of make by putting all the vehicles next to each other and stuff. I think that's really cool too. And yeah, I just think it's a wicked little story. I'd probably have to say I preferred the issue 80 of A Real American Hero.
Yep.
So I'm gonna still give it an 8 because I still think it's a solid issue.
I think I am also going to give it an 8. So we're all in agreement this week so far.
And that splash page is worth 10 on its own. The one where you got Ace, Maverick, and Slipstream all in their planes, all looking super cool.
Yep. So that's the comics section for this week. Be with us next week because we will be covering Special Missions 13, 14, and Real American Hero 81, 82. But before we leave, we've got another couple of segments, one of which is Chris Talks Toys.
Now it's time for Chris Talks Toys. Chris Talks Toys. And for this week, I'm going to be looking at Hardball. May have given that away earlier on in the show. Now, when we were looking at these comics beforehand, I was kind of looking through and I think, oh yeah, Rolling Thunder, that would be a good one to do. Havoc, oh yeah, that would be a good one to talk about. And then I thought, actually, no, the one that I would wanted to really discuss is Hardball, because he's one of those characters that he only recently got a modern version of his figure done in the Slaughter's Marauders box set from the club like last year, and they did him in Marauders kind of like a mixture of kind of like his upper body's like the original style, and then his lower pants are in that kind of Slaughter's Marauders kind of colour scheme, so we didn't actually even get a proper version of his original figure done, really. Right. But obviously the original one for me is one that I hold dear because he's such a cool design. You know, obviously the baseball theme is pretty strong. The actual figure, if we look at it, and again I'll have to describe it to you, he's wearing a blue baseball cap with no specific team significance, which is funny because in the past you've had Cutter wearing a Boston Red Sox baseball cap, you've had Bazooka wearing an old kind of like Patriots jersey that wasn't, I think it would have been like whatever the Patriots were before the Patriots possibly, but that kind of red jersey with the 14 on it. And you know, like we've had all these kind of different, you know, the Fridge has been in there from the Chicago Bears. We've had Sarge from wrestling. So you've had all of these kind of specific teams and players and people and stuff. And then all of a sudden we get Hardball, who is actually more generically a baseball fan. So he's wearing a baseball tee kind of jersey, which like would have that kind of collar that kind of meets button up and then goes all the way down the middle of the shirt, so you got this blue line that kind of runs all the way down with a G.I. Joe emblem on it, and a kind of basically a blue baseball cap. He's got a grey long sleeve shirt underneath his baseball shirt, and he's got fingerless gloves, or like kind of little, you know, baseball I suppose hitter gloves, but they're not really in this case. He wears tan kind of trousers or pants, let's say. And he's got little kind of green. He's got green kind of elements, like light green elements to it, like the gun and the strap on his leg. And then he's got the black boots, but then just above them, he's got kind of little grenades for his grenade launcher, which is one of the most amazing weapons they ever brought out for G.I. Joe. And it's just an absolute beauty. And then on his back, he's got his green backpack with the again like the ammo shells that go with the awesome weapon. Now the thing with the grenade launcher he had, the actual barrel that have the ammunition in it turns and can be taken away from the gun as well, so you can actually take that out and he's just got the gun with no ammunition kind of in it. I
forgot about that. Yeah,
it's brilliant. Like honestly, it's just one of the coolest little figures they did. The card art is absolutely gorgeous. Huge hulking dude as well, like a massive bicep, and he's standing on what is effectively in that issue we just talked about is what looks like that Cobra Island piece, like that new Cobra Island that was kind of forming. He's basically on a mountaintop, which is great. So again, like, just beautiful card art, loads of stuff. Now there's loads of cool like anecdotes about this particular character that I have. Obviously, it was a G.I. Joe The Action Force carded figure that I bought. Obviously, it came out in the US on just a G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero card. And there were some differences in, obviously, the bio and all that kind of stuff. Now, the designers, the creators, went through a number of character names before they decided on Hardball. Right. He went through a number of the working ones. Thumper was one, which I thought was quite funny. High Pop, which is obviously, these are all baseball terms as well. So that's when the ball kind of pops up off the, or just comes off the bat really high, and then everyone like scrambles to see where it's going to land, kind of thing. Yep. But you also have Line Drive and Lob Shot as well, which are also names that were attached early on.
No foul ball.
No foul ball. No home run. No.
No bunt. I wish there was bunt.
Oh yeah, bunt. The absolute. Yeah, and.
I'm surprised that double play. That sounds G.I. Joe-ish.
There was a double blast, yeah, but there's no double play, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton that you could utilize from baseball. They have more sayings in baseball than in any other sport, I think.
Yeah.
And so, like, his file name in the US was Wilmer S. Duggleby. But in the UK card, it was Simon S. Duggleby, because I don't think people would have thought Wilmer was a real name. I don't know why they changed it a lot of the time. I think for like, to relate to characters, to relate to British kids, Simon sounded a bit better.
I think the only reference to the name Wilmer I've ever heard is from the Flintstones.
Yeah, totally.
Which
and that's Wilma,
female name.
Yeah, well, that's Wilma. This is Wilmer. So there's
right.
That's the male version, I suppose, of it.
Got it.
And also, that is a play on the inventor of baseball, which was Abner Doubleday. So they're using the baseball terms again. His birthplace of Cooperstown, New York, is also home to the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yep.
So that's quite interesting. And so you've got this kind of like, loads of baseball terms being thrown in there. And in the UK card, they kept those terms. They kept Cooperstown, New York as his birthplace. They'd often change that if they didn't think it made any sense. Like, so in the UK card, it says, after 5 seasons of playing centre field in the minor leagues, Hardball came to the realisation that the big league scouts just weren't interested in athletic prowess. They wanted star quality. The G.I. Joe team was more interested in team players than in stars, and they had a real need for a guy who could judge distances accurately and react quickly with deliberation. And then the quote was, grenade launchers are fitted with adjustable graduated sights calibrated in 25-metre increments. In a firefight, nobody wants to start readjusting sights, especially the blooper man. Hardball can drop a 40mm frag into a bucket from 75 metres simply by eyeballing it. The
nice.
Man's a natural, which I think I just love that, and it was such a cute card and everything. And yeah, so Hardball is my Chris Talks Toys this week, and he's again like an absolute beauty of an action figure. Did you have him, by the way?
Excellent, good recap. No, I didn't. Ben had him. I never had him. I think he was still collecting figures into that era, but. Always a cool looking figure with a good sized weapon.
we like a good sized weapon from a multi-shot grenadier. Oh, one thing I failed to mention in the preview. When we were talking about issue 80, I noticed an error towards the end where Outback says hit and run, but is clearly talking to Ripcord.
Okay.
It's because it's not hit and run because he doesn't have the face paint on. They've got similar helmets, so I thought it might have been a colouring issue, but then I realised that the helmet was definitely Ripcord's. And it's like, okay, that's just another error. So yeah, there was quite a few little ball drops in the issues we read this week. I noticed.
Never good to get your balls dropped. But anyway, no, it's good stuff. Good stuff. I always look forward to that little segment because I generally know nothing that you're telling me, which is good. Before we do close out, there is one other bit of business we need to take care of, which is Chief Ask Chris a question. Chief Ask Chris a question. What'll he say? What'll he do when Chief asks Chris a question? So my question this week is, of all that big slew of 1980s kind of male-focused action primetime Saturday night shows, a la A-Team, Knight Rider, Airwolf, Street Hawk, all that kind of stuff. What was your favourite?
Oh my goodness, that's a good question. And I'll preface it, but I mean, there are some absolute beauties in there. So I have strong nostalgic connection with the A-Team, because when that would come on, I think I can't remember if it came on after or before they did the final score result video printer style thing for the games. I think it was.
I think it was after.
I think it was afterwards. I think they do the video print stuff, and then I remember seeing the scores coming through, and then it would be like onto the A-Team, and you get straight into the intro, and it would just be like, oh my god, this is amazing. So I was a big A-Team fan as a kid. But then Airwolf, I mean, probably one of the greatest theme tunes. And I mean, A-Team was a good theme tune, but Airwolf had that 80s synth going on. I mean, it was just amazing. I loved it. That was great. Street Hawk was one that I really enjoyed, but didn't see it very often. So I only knew it through I think a few publications, and then it was on TV once or twice.
Okay.
But it was one of the ones that I was I really liked the thought of it, but never really saw enough of it to get involved. Blue Thunder was another one like that, and then obviously Knight Rider was massive too. Again, solid theme, interesting, prime time.
Did you ever I want to give a little shout out to Manimal. Did you ever see Manimal?
I did see Manimal, yeah. Again, not as often as some of the others. Dukes of Hazzard was another one that was I saw that quite often.
Bit problematic now, Dukes of Hazzard, looking back.
Yeah, very problematic in many different ways.
At the time, cracking.
Yeah, exactly. And that these things as a kid, you enjoy them, and you realise the problems later on in life, and you go, okay, I can deal with that. But I think out of all of them, the one that gave me the most joy was probably the A-Team.
Yep.
I think Airwolf was a close second. If not, they were tied. But yeah, I think out of all those shows, those two were pretty high up there. I can't think of any others off the top of my head, and I might kick myself that some are going awry. Were there any others?
It's okay. No, it's okay because you've given the correct answer. It is the A-Team.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
I always just loved that intro, in 1972 a crack commander was sent to prison by a military court for a crime they didn't commit. These men promptly escaped from a maximum security stockade to the Los Angeles Underground. Today, still wanted by the government. If you have a problem and no one else can help, if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team.
Maybe you can hire the A-Team.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I used to love Hannibal. He'd just be dressed up in that intro. Someone's trying to find him, and he's dressed up as like a gardener, just with some shears, just clipping the thing. Where am I going to find Hannibal Smith? You just found him.
Oh, there's a brilliant music video by John Cena called Bad Bad Man.
Right.
Have you ever seen it?
No.
Oh, mate, you got to watch it.
Okay.
It's a A-Team take, but it's basically John Cena, Bumpy Knuckles, and I think the other guy, I can't remember his name, but he was like on John Cena's kind of entourage, and they did this amazing video. It's an absolute tune as well. You'll have to everyone go and Google it if you haven't ever heard Bad Man by John Cena.
I'm going to go and have a look after this, but one of my favourite Hannibal disguises was, I think he is on a horse. like a big metallic horse, and he's all in either gold or black or whatever, and he's pretending to be a statue, like a cavalryman, historic cavalryman on a statue. And I don't know how long he stood there, sat there completely still before he had to reveal himself. But I mean,
brilliant. Yeah, I like the monster from the Black Lagoon style Hollywood set kind of one where he pulls
smoking a cigar.
Hatch. Yeah. Pulls the hatch to the side, and there he is smoking a cigar. Yeah.
Cool.
Face. I used to love Face. I used to think he was the coolest guy alive.
Yeah. Templeton Peck.
Oh my god! And like the cars he drove.
Oh, and
his main car. Oh,
as his one we missed off, especially because at the same time I think he was playing Apollo from Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, big time.
So
Battlestar Galactica is another good one. Yeah,
another good one. Yep, I think that about wraps it up for this week. So be sure to do your homework and read Special Missions 13, 14, Real American Hero 81, 82 ahead of next week's show. You can find us in all the normal places, talkingjoecomics@gmail.com if you've got questions. Find us at Talking Joe Comics on Instagram and Talking_Joe on Twitter. There's also a Facebook page Talking Joe at G.I. Joe Podcast. If fine listeners out there want to get hold of you, Chris, how can they do that?
Full Force. Just go to the Full Force Podcast on Podbean, iTunes or Stitcher. Find us on Facebook, on Twitter. We've got a Patreon page. We're everywhere. And YouTube.
Do that. Definitely check that out. If you want to get hold of me personally, I'm on Chiefy2Shoes on Twitter, which is Chiefy #2 Shoes. Check us out on any of the aforementioned social media links.
You can also find me personally at Diagnostic 80 Anything. DIAGNOSTIK 80.
There you go. Do it. With that said, we will see you down the road.
Bye.